What's up, everybody? This is Derek with the NerdCave Network. You know, me, so I'm doing it solo tonight, guys. Zach's is not going to be here tonight. He has got a work event this over the weekend that he has to fly out for tomorrow morning at the crack of dawn. So he was wanting to spend it, you know, rest, relax, and get ready for the weekend to have some fun. But we agreed we didn't want to go another 2 weeks without a show. So I said, I'll do it. You did one. You did one. Zach did one by himself a few weeks ago. Might as well. Why can't I do one? I've done it before. Hope everyone is doing well tonight. Glad that you're all here with us. Let us know how you're doing. Let me know how you're doing. Sound off in the chat. What's everyone up to tonight? How's everyone's day been? What up, Dan? What up, Murdoch? How are y'all doing? So just got home from work not too long ago. Got off a little later than I expected to, but it's all good. Got all the stuff I needed to. Got changed. Got my water. Got food ready for me for when I end this stream tonight. Yeah, it's been an eventful week. Been a busy week, but a good week. Yeah. How's everyone's work week going? Hope everyone's, you know, getting it in, not stressful. Not stressing about life and all that good stuff. While I'm thinking about it, go ahead and hit the like button and share this stream with someone that you love. Because we need people. We need more love in the world. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Just Dan says, I've just spent $170 at Sam's Club for groceries. So I should be set for a while. Yeah. And I'll say, especially since it's just one, especially if it was just for you, like $170 doesn't seem like you get much for your buck nowadays with that money. But yeah, if it's just for you, that should last you a while, hopefully. I know, what was it? I bought just a few things the other day and it was like just under $100. And I went to, excuse me, I had to go to another grocery place because Publix doesn't carry certain things that we need. So I went to another grocery place and the cashier was like, "You can't even fill up a buggy for $100 nowadays." And I'm like, "Sure, like for one." I get where she was coming from because of inflation. At the same time, it's like even about 5-7 years ago, you can't like define what a full buggy is, because if you mean like to the top, then no. Even 5 years ago, you couldn't even get that for under $100. But if you mean like a moderate amount, like the bottom's full, then yes, I agree with you. Whenever I go to Sam's, I know I'm going to be spending a good amount of money, so I try to limit myself. I mean, yeah, because Sam's is pretty much just like, it's pretty much like you're going into an actual warehouse and just doing your shopping there before it hits the shelves, but it has checkout counters. I remember going into the Sam's Clubs for the first time, and I remember being like, seeing like a huge thing of Pop Tarts, like huge boxes that you would never see in a regular grocery store in my life. And I'm like, good Lord, this is definitely for the bulk spenders. This is for people who are like stocking up type of thing. This would be like this is probably not a good thing to say, but it's like, that would be a doomsday prepper's, dream right there. But yeah, so what was I going to say? But yeah, decide you get me tonight. It's gonna be fun. We got some good things to talk about. Some, another delay. We got some Sony news, of course. From the head Sony pony over here. What else do we got? Oh, we got some histrionics, like what could have been. So stay tuned for that. I'm not gonna go long on the shenanigans just because I don't have anyone to bounce off of, and plus, it's been a long day. Like, it was a good day, but it's been a long day. So my brain's fried. And I'm probably gonna be spacing out here from time to time, so forgive me, guys. I got used to the app, so I scanned my own stuff and I got it. I didn't have to wait in line on the way out. I know it's nice. Like, I don't subscribe to the school of thought that everyone should go exclusively toward self checkout only, but it is convenient, especially if you're only getting a few things. I hear the app is dope. So pretty much the app is pretty much like, so what does the app do for you? Like, is it pretty much like a curbside, but you have to come in and get all the stuff, but you just tell them like, hey, this is my name, and they just pull out the buggy with your stuff and you pay for it and go on about your business? Or is it more like it tells you where all the stuff is? Like you can put your shopping list on there and it tells you where everything's at so you can make a quick trip and be done. Because I know Publix has something like on the Club Pub thing, you can put your list of groceries in and it tells you what aisle all your stuff's in so you can just go bing, bang, boom, go through the checkout and you're done. But yeah, so self checkout is sufficient, especially if you only got a few things. I know people have asked us like, "Do you have self checkout?" And I'm like, "No, we don't." Like, people are still blown away that we don't have scan guns. Like, and these are people I've seen in here several times. Like, they're not frequent shoppers, but I've seen them in there several times. And it's like, you've never noticed we don't have a scan gun? Like, I don't know, it just boggles my mind. But we're an older store. Like I know a lot of the newer stores are going to get scan guns and they have self checkout. Supposedly, we're due for a remodel and we're going to get self checkout and scan guns, but they've been saying that apparently for like a couple years. So I don't know how that's going to work out or when it's going to happen. But supposedly our store, but I probably won't be at that store when it happens. So you know, I won't get to cherish it. You scan the barcode yourself, pay through the app, and then they scan a QR code on the way out. That's it. Oh, nice, more convenient. But you scan it? So if you scan it yourself and then scan on the way out, like, do you still have to go find the items, or do they actually pick the items like and set them aside for you? That's the only thing, because or is it basically like you just skip the line? Is it pretty much like how when you go through self checkout at Walmart and then like stuff that's not in a bag, you have to flash your receipt to show that you paid for? Is it more like that? So, um, so Murdoch, so the more and more, like more of the newer stores that are opening, and more of the updated stores do have self checkout. Like I know they opened a third, like a mini store in Auburn, that I went to a grand opening for because my old store manager it became the store manager of that one. Um, they have self checkout, and I know a lot of other stores around us have self checkout. It's just when we're a 6-year-old store, and they just started doing the self checkout thing like maybe in the last like 2 years. So it's already going to be in newer stores. It's just like the older stores don't have it, and they're slowly doing like remodels of them to implement that. So the Troy store will get that eventually. It's just a matter of when. I'm gonna be eating. I got a boar's head sub from the deli section. I've started doing this now. When I know I'm gonna close, or like nights like this where I'm not gonna be able to eat right away, I go ahead and like eat half the sub. I get a whole sub, get half of it, and then I save the other half for when I get off. That way, I don't have to worry about going out and getting dinner or worried about making something or whatnot. So I got a chicken tender sub with green onions, no, onions, green peppers, tomato, provolone cheese, and barbecue sauce. So I know we are bougie. But you get what you pay for though, because it is like great quality food, and some of it's definitely healthier than Subway for sure. Don't know about Firehouse. Firehouse is more about for the flavor than it is like for health or whatnot. But definitely compared to Subway, it's a lot better for you. Um, Yeah, you find the stuff yourself. You just skip the checkout. Okay, so that is definitely, especially if you have to go like shopping, like you have to restock your pantry. That is definitely nice. So you don't have to wait. So yeah, maybe one day, everyone will get something like that, or maybe Publix will do that. So, we'll see. I'm also still getting my new PC set up the way I want it. Oh, that's nice. How far away are you from finishing it, or the way you want it? We need a Publix hack segment. What's the latest hacker deal? What's up, Amy? Um, what do you mean? Because I don't know if any hacks per se. I mean, deals. There's a bunch of stuff that's on BOGO, but I mean, okay. I guess the only hack I know of is so our ads change. Like if you have the Club Pub app or like an account, like the account's free, by the way. You don't have to pay anything for it. You just sign up and you can get coupons or whatnot. Like I know for first time people who set up, your next purchase of like $25 or more, you get $5 off. But what people don't know is, our ads go from Wednesdays to Tuesdays, and then we after we close on Tuesday, they start setting up the new ad, and then Wednesday morning they finish them. What people who have the Club Pub app is, they can see the ad a day early, so that way they know what go. So if they're thinking about buying stuff, on a Tuesday, and that's not on sale, they can look at the app. They can look at the Club Pub app and see, oh, this is actually going to go on sale tomorrow. I'm just going to wait till it goes BOGO, or two for one, two for two, that kind of thing. So that's the only hack that I know of off the top of my head. Like, I don't know what what you're looking for in that case, Murdoch. Let's see. I don't know. I know I will know it when I see it. Right now I'm in the middle of transferring files. Got you. Got you. Got you. Got you. Are you talking now, when you mean setup, are you just talking about like the arrangement of things, or are you talking about like you still need parts to build? Dan. But no. Oh, what you may not know is, like, okay, so like for the deli, they now, I don't know if it's just ours, because I haven't been to a lot of it, like every Publix deli, obviously. Oh, it's a pre-built PC. Got you. Okay, so you're just talking about like the arrangement and setup, like how you want everything, like the lights. Got you. Got you. Cool. Um, the stuff that they advertise, like I know working in the deli, like there's some stuff like, or even not even working, not even having worked in the deli, there was some stuff I found out even before, like apparently the stuff that they advertise, like you can still get a sandwich made that's not on like the list. Like, you got the ever roast chicken, you got the honey maple turkey, you've got the chicken tender sub, you got stuff that's already on the list of stuff. But you can actually ask if you see a meat, like say you wanted a lemon pepper chicken sandwich, or you wanted a roast beef sandwich, because they don't have a roast beef. They have like roast beef mixed in like with what is it, the Italian or the ultimate, one of the two. But if you want just a straight roast beef sandwich, you can request that and they will make it for you, so you don't always have to go by so if you don't know what you're in the mood for sub wise, you can, you look up and see, oh, what do they have, good. You don't always have to go with what the list says. You can actually ask them, say, hey, I have like lemon pepper chicken with this kind of cheese or whatnot, because they will ask you the cheese, and you can say whatever. But like in terms of meat, you don't always have to stick by what the list says, because you can. What also people don't know is the chicken tender sub. You can request to have it mixed in buffalo sauce, or I don't know about any other sauces, but definitely, because I know when the chicken tender sub was on sale that week, when I was cross training in the deli, there were several people who asked, "Can I mix it in buffalo sauce?" And me just being a newbie back there, I'm like, I don't know. It's like, and I was like, let me find out for you. And I asked one of the deli people, it's like, yeah, we do that all the time. I'm like, I never knew that. And they also have, I don't know if you would call it a secret menu item, but they have a Philly cheesesteak sub. There's an option for these are the hacks, Derek. Yes. They do have a Philly cheesesteak sub. Now, I don't know if they don't get in the ingredients all the time, because I don't see a lot of people asking for it. But there was one time, because see, we do curbsides and customer service, and we get deli alerts when they have like a sandwich, rotisserie chicken, or what have you, on order. We have to go just pick it up from the hot case, or the cooling area if it's a cold sub. And there was one on there for a Philly cheesesteak sub. I'm like, I never knew we had this, so I ordered it one time, and sure enough, they had it. But they don't advertise it. So yeah, if you ever wanted a Philly cheesesteak sub, it's actually, I haven't had it in a while. I need to have it again. But the one time I had it, it was actually pretty good. Obviously you can still make it how you want to, but there is a Philly cheesesteak sub. There's also wraps for people who don't know, like they do, so you can do like a wrap, or also if you wanted to do a healthier option and you didn't want a sub, like say you wanted like the keto, not so much a keto, but like a non-bread option, you can request to make it like a chicken tender sub, but make it a salad. You can also request that, so it'd be like the same fixings, but you can get, you can get lettuce or spinach or both as like your base, and that's your bread. But then you can also get the toppings and whatnot, so, and you can still do a whole or a half. Yeah, there's some several things that the deli does that they don't have advertised, but I mean, if you ask them, they could do it. But yes, make sure to like the stream and share it with the people that you love. That way we can get more people in on this, and we can actually, just shameless plug here. If you like anime, because I'm not going to talk about anime this week, because one, it's not fair to Zach because he and I are the ones who bring up the subject all the time. But also too, it's like if you want it so bad, get some more subscribers and on Patreon. And if we hit our goal, we can do an anime show where you can hear it there and get it, get what you paid for. But uh-oh.
You're not going to talk about anime?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, listen, I did not summon you this time. I wasn't going to do the same joke about, oh, I cut the dead weight. The Straggler's not going to be here this week, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not going to talk about anime because I still haven't finished My Hero Season 6. So I'm not going to,
not going to talk about anime? Derek, you should be ashamed of yourself.
We'll talk about anime if they get our Patreon tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, Murdoch. He just can't stand not being in the spotlight for 1 week. Good Lord.
Hey, man. I am the spotlight.
Somebody lied to you.
No.
Amy's like show crasher. I agree, Amy. He's supposed to be spending time with you before he goes on his little weekend retreats, and here he is coming on the show. Now he's gonna blame me because it's like, oh, Derek, you want to talk about anime? I have to jump in. You're making me miss time with my wife. Her.
Exactly, Derek. You know how the formula works. We work this formula out. We talk about anime. People are like, is this supposed to be about video games? They're like, of course it's about video games. It's the old bait and switch. It's like a Cowboy Bebop episode. You know how this works.
Yes, but I figured
the MacGuffin.
What?
The MacGuffin.
Oh yeah, that's true. But still, I figured I give it a break this week because I also need. It's almost 30 minutes into the show, and I need to get into this. I need to kick this pig.
Yeah.
What's up, Joe? So
hey, Joe.
Derek's thunder. I know.
I am the thunder and the lightning.
So again, his mama said he was special. He just misunderstood the kind of special. Dang, Dan! Dan going in on you.
Dan can get blocked too.
No, Murdoch's got that control.
Don't trust me. I just pull up the old laptop and just pack away.
Don't you do that to Dan. I won't allow it, Dan. I'll bring you back.
All right. Well, anime is good for you.
Yes, it is. Go watch some anime. Some wholesome anime. My Hero Academia.
That's my plan, everybody. I'm gonna download the rest of season 6 of My Hero and watch it on the plane tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go. You gotta kill something on the flight, right?
Yeah, I could be like Shigaraki and just get everybody. You know what I mean? Decay.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Like you could ruin plans for sure.
Yep.
Amy, I'm supposed to be cutting your hair. Get off. I'm like, I agree, Amy. Let your wife do what she's supposed to.
All right. Bye.
Bye. See what I have to deal with, guys. Like he said this is the second time I've only done a solo show twice, but both times this man has to interject and be like, "Oh, I can't let him get away with this. The audacity." So, but that is the kind of shenanigans you can expect each and every week, guys. But so go ahead, hit like, subscribe, share this with people. Go over to Patreon, throw some dollars, make us holler. See how I turned this into a positive? So, I have to. Someone has to bring in the reins around here. Anyway, guys, hope you're having a good night. We're about to jump into this. If this is your first time here, if you don't know how this is work, we're going to reintroduce the show. That way for recording purposes. That way it'll make it easier for when we upload it to YouTube later on. I will reintroduce and we'll get into this thing, and then we'll have a post show. Probably be a quick thing just to recap, just to see how, do a check-in, see if Zach wants to interject again. Hopefully not, but you never know. You never know around here. Anything could happen. We could actually have some, I could accidentally develop a quirk right now that'll just put Zach in his place. But, we'll see. We'll see. Only time will tell. So we're going to get into this here in just a moment. while I give Murdoch a chance to switch, get his recording set up. When he'll just let me know when he is ready for me to transition. Okay. All right. So here we go, guys. We are going to get into this in about, let's see, I'm going to count. Let's see. I'm going to count down from 3. We're going to do this in about 3, 2, 1. This week, Suicide Squad gets delayed. Gamers cry out that they were robbed of an old school Battlefront 3, and the Sony CEO will have to answer to the US government. All that and more, because this is the NerdCave News, where I am your one and only host for this week, Derek Daniel. And this episode is brought to you by the Epic Game Store and our wonderful patrons. But more on that later. So, let's see, where do I want to start? Well, this happened about, literally, again, right after the show ended. Because, if you remember last week, guys, we were talking about the previous show 2 weeks prior, that, we don't know. E3 was in limbo. People were leaving left and right. And we didn't know if E3 was still going to happen. And literally, we cut the show. And literally about 30 minutes later, I look up on the internet and E3 was canceled. And I texted that to Zach and we're like, well, that was quick. So we had to discuss that. Well, after the show, I had a little inkling because I'm like, is Suicide Squad going to get delayed? Because, we were talking about Redfall and, does it deserve to get delayed because it won't have certain modes ready at launch, or they'll have to take some modes or fix it or whatnot. And Suicide Squad popped in my head. Well, literally after the show, this pops up because our first article on the docket is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been delayed yet again, but this time all the way to February 2nd, 2024. My gosh, that's a huge, from May, I think it was 26th to February, almost like a full pregnancy term. So up until the news, Rocksteady fans of old were looking forward to seeing what the latest title from the studio that gave us the Batman Arkham series would be like. And they didn't have to wait much longer with an end of May release date. Now players will have to wait much longer for a game that's already been delayed multiple times. This news also confirms a previous report from Bloomberg that a delay announcement would be coming. Quote, we have made the tough but necessary decision to take the time needed to work on getting the game to be the best quality experience for players. Rocksteady said in a statement posted to Twitter, thank you so much to our amazing community for the continued support, patience, and understanding. There is much more to share in the months ahead, and we look forward to seeing you in Metropolis next year. And we got another sub-article here that I'll get into in just a second. But, this was, when we saw the showcase for it at the State of Play a couple months ago, that me and Zach covered live in his studio at, while we went to Pensacon that weekend, live and in person, we had our doubts. The gameplay didn't really strike us. And the live service event kind of had us worried, and having it being like an online consistent game, that all kind of checked boxes of, will this game be good? Well, there's a rumor going around now, that Suicide Squad was delayed partly to rework the / remove Always Online component. So according to Jez Corden of Windows Central, part of the reason behind the delay of Suicide Squad is to rework or even remove the Always Online component. Rocksteady Studios announced that its highly anticipated superhero title is no longer launching in May, and instead is being pushed back over half a year on PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Corden, however, added his own 2 cents as to one of the reasons why the game had been pushed back. However, don't expect these mechanics to be given the boot, with Jason Schreier saying prior to the delay that this element is not going to change, should the game be postponed, which of course it now has. So, I wonder if that will stick, though, in all my honest opinion, because while, yes, removing the Always Online component will take a while, but almost 9 months, and you're not going to change the gameplay style, I'm not saying they're liars, but I'm also thinking it's what else? Because removing an online, because Microsoft, because we saw this with Microsoft, right? Where when it revealed the Xbox One back a decade ago, that, one of the staples was Always Online. You always have to be connected, yada, yada, yada. Huge backlash, because at that point the internet infrastructure wasn't that great. Not a lot of people had access to internet, and they were like, well, I just want to play my games. I don't care about this Always Online component. it's not for me, and it started turning away a lot of people. Well, Microsoft did a quick 180 and was like, we'll take it off, no worries. And then come launch like 6 months later, they had an update that would automatically turn all those, because all that was already set up in the box, that was already pre-installed, and all they had to do was just do an update and poof, it was gone. So again, developing it in a game is much different than developing it for a system where you can just flip a switch and boom, it's gone. um I just can't see why that a 9 month, like, it would take 9 months just to remove that component and not make other changes. Now they could they revamp or rework the loot system? Maybe. The battle pass, could they take it out and just do like cosmetic upgrades, that kind of thing? Maybe. Like, I can't see why almost a 9 month delay would take, just to remove that component and that be it. Like, there has to be something else in the works, and they might have taken that feedback from, end of February and taken that to heart and be like, we need to go back to the drawing board. Let me catch up with chat just for a second. I dare y'all to support us on Patreon, you cowards. You are the endeavor to my all might. I mean, sure, we'll go with that. That's the exact kind of attitude you need to get people to support you. Um, Still gonna miss E3. They are going to cut the always online and hopefully get rid of the shoot the purple bubble game loop. I hope so, because they've got to change some, because just going to the area, it invokes, and fair or not, because it's the same studio that Arkham Knight, when they introduced Batmobile gameplay and everyone was losing their mind, is like, oh, it's gonna be great, and then most of it was just like, oh, fight this many drones. Oh, next mission, fight twice as many drones. Oh, you're gonna fight 3 waves, and they're just gonna add like 20 more each time, nothing else, and it's like, okay, repetitive and boring. I need to get out of this section. Um, it didn't look enticing for the gameplay loop. Like, I don't want to say it was a complete turn off, but it definitely didn't bode well for, or it enticed me to want to buy it day one. I think we are going to see massive changes. I agree. Or let me rephrase that. At least I hope so. I gotta think that with this now, if this was delayed till November, December, and they said, oh, taking out the online component, I'm like, okay, cool. What else are you going to do? But delaying it till early next year, like, even out, like, they don't, obviously, yes, you have Starfield, you have Spider-Man 2, you're going to have that year's that fall's Call of Duty, not to mention what else is in the pipe works, that we don't yet know is going to release in fall. So I get that you're wanting to avoid that altogether, but again, if you take this time and all you do is take off the always online component and you don't do anything else, it's going to be time wasted. It's going to be money that's just going to be burned in a pocket. That's going to tick off investors and be like, "What are you doing?" Like, and it's going to, and the biggest thing is it's going to hurt Rocksteady tremendously. Like, not only have you not released a game in almost a decade, the next game you put out will be bad. I'm not going to say trash, because the game's not out yet. We're going to have to see more, especially over the next couple months. But you're going to make a game that's going to be bad and not gain any traction, going to lose money, and that's going to hurt your reputation to where no one's going to trust you, because at one point Rocksteady was up there. Like, they were, I don't want to say they were gold, but they were the next best thing. Like, you talk about there with CD Projekt Red when they were in their apex, BioWare when they were in their apex, like trusted third-party studios that could do no wrong. And now all of a sudden you're going the complete opposite, and now you're going to lose goodwill, and you're going to have to lay off people, and because your internal sales weren't right, and you overpromised to investors, and it's going to result in you just having to start from scratch. And we don't want to see that, because we all know, me and Zach and I know that what you're capable of. We need you just to remember who you are and make a good game. And that's all I'm going to say on that. If you have any other comments, though, post them over there, and I'll get to them in a second. But the next one we're going to talk about, of what could have been, we're going to see what could be in the future, but now we're going to look to the past of what could have been. Former Star Wars Battlefront 3 dev claims it was, quote, 99% done, but the history is complicated. Quote, I feel like it's been long enough now to come out and say Star Wars Battlefront 3 was going to be legit incredible, and the fact it got canceled 2 yards from the finish line is an absolute crime. Former Star Wars Battlefront 3 developer Michael Barclay tweeted over the weekend. Barclay was referring to Free Radical Star Wars Battlefront 3, which was in development until it was canceled in 2008. His statement came in response to a simple question posed to developers. All right, game dev folks, what's your one that got away? It can be an IP you wanted to work on, a studio you wanted to work for, anything of the sort. Barclay, who now works as a lead designer at Naughty Dog, shared his own story and added, "Gamers don't know what they were robbed of." Barclay's claim isn't a new one. Way back in 2012, Free Radical co founder Steve Ellis also claimed that Star Wars Battlefront 3 was, quote, 99% done. This prompted a former LucasArts employee to lash out at the studio, which has since undergone multiple iterations before reopening under Deep Silver in 2021. This 99% complete stuff is just bullcrap, the former employee claimed at GameSpot at the time. A generous estimate would be at 75% of a mediocre game. They went on to claim that Free Radical continually missed milestones and that the game didn't work in 2007, but that LucasArts was desperate for what was then a next-gen follow-up to Battlefront on Xbox 360 and PS3. Not the least because Star Wars Battlefront and its sequel sold extremely well on PS2 and Xbox. The claims led to a war of words in the press, with Ellis posting a lengthy statement claiming that Battlefront 3, being 75% of a mediocre game, was false, while pointing to leaked footage that he said backed him up. He went on to say that LucasArts was a company with problems in 2008. Shortly after Ellis's comments, LucasArts was shuttered by Disney, which had acquired Star Wars the year before. IGN reached out to Barclay to see if he had additional context to add, but did not receive a response. Plenty of footage and even a playable build would emerge in the years that followed, allowing fans to decide for themselves what they were missing. Much of that footage would ultimately be pulled, with Battlefront 3 ultimately being lost to history. EA would later reboot the series, though with notable differences from the original LucasArts games, such as how it handled space battles. The original Battlefront games remained beloved fan favorites for the way that they combined the prequel and original trilogy eras, pitting players against each other in large-scale space battles where they could board and attack enemy capital ships. It included an extensive single-player game, which which EA games would not get until the sequel. So it's interesting stuff that this comes out now, and I'm glad. It's always interesting to the one that got away type of thing. There's always that one in our lives, whether it be a significant other, whether it be a job, whether it be a car, whether you name it. There's always something that what could have been type of thing. um Dan says, what a travesty. Murdoch says, agree, but the publisher failed the last deployment. I think the people of the first needs to pick it up and finish it and fire the ones from Battlefront 2. I really enjoyed, Dan goes on to say he really enjoyed Battlefront 2. I agree. I really enjoyed Battlefront 2. I remember that more than Battlefront 1. I remember playing both of them back on the original Xbox back in the day. And I got, again, I'm more of a Johnny come lately, big into Star Wars now. But I was always like a casual fan. Like I would watch them, I would enjoy them, but I'm nowhere near what Zach, or others were, like deep into the lore, like reading the extended universe books, into this and that and the other. I was never interested in that until Mandalorian came out, and now I'm just hooked into like that universe, like watching Andor, Kenobi, Bad Batch, Clone Wars, all that kind of stuff. If it's Star Wars now, I want to be invested in it now that they're kind of like making an established canon universe, like connecting a bunch of things, or at least bringing characters over that we all know or recognize. But two, I do remember fondly, like playing the like I said, the sequel and the prequel, and I enjoyed it. Like I never did any of the space battles because I'm a terrible pilot. I'm gonna be honest with you. Cannot even today in flying games, if it has a flying mechanic, I just don't even touch it. I remember there was this is how bad I am at flying in games, guys. I remember playing Far Cry 5, and one of the you could play the bosses in kind of whatever order because it was like really free roam. And one of the first bosses I thought what jumped in a plane, and I had to go chase after him in my plane, and it was auto inverted controls, which already screwed me up. But it was so bad, like with me flying it, that I crashed into the trees so many times that the game gave me a mercy handicap and just fast forwarded me to when I took him down. I had to chase after him and finish him off. That's how bad I am at flying games. So if it has a flying mechanic, I'm out. I'm not going to do it. Can't do it. two scared me away with paywall. Now, are you talking about the remake one that EA did, or are you talking about the old school Battlefront 2? Because I don't remember 2 having a, like the original one having a paywall. But then again, I was young and ignorant, so paying for extra things was oblivious to me. I had space battles down to a science. Yikes! No, Derek cannot land the plane. I know. Yeah, nope, cannot. Well, I can't even fly it. Like landing it, I could probably do. It would definitely not land smooth, but can't even fly the doggone thing. Like anyway, it was a travesty. It makes me wish I could have recorded it, for comedic value, but didn't think of it about it at the time. Sorry, Battlefront 2 I meant as the first of the new series of the yeah. Yeah, the paywall for the revamped Battlefront 2 definitely scared a lot of people away, but it got fixed. Zach has a whole rant video about what went wrong with Battlefront 2 that you can go check out on the NerdCave YouTube channel. Go check it out. But it's come a long way. It's come a long way, and with the celebration content that they did, what is it, a couple years after, brought the game back to respectability. The original Xbox and PS2 happened before in-game purchases was even. Yeah, that's what I figured. I just wanted for clarity because, again, I didn't, I was still new to gaming at that time, so I was just playing it to play it. I wouldn't even think about that kind of deep mechanics. But it's interesting. Back to the article, it's interesting to see what could have been. Now, the whole back and forth thing about, oh, it was almost done. We were like at the 2-yard line, and then saying, no, it was 75% and it was bad. That's why it never fell through. It's always one of those things that it takes 2 to tango. There's fault on both sides. They probably did have a game. They probably, it's always like with any bad game, there's a lot of good people with great ideas behind it that just don't either get the backing or don't have the tools or just, I don't want to say there's no such thing as a bad idea, but there's always like a good idea in the developer's head, but it's always those things that it sounds good, but it should never have made it to paper, or it's like it sounds good in theory, but the execution is not plausible. That's one of those, it's probably one of those things or a mix of those things where they may not have gotten the backing for it or that they should have, but it was also one of those concepts where it sounded good to them in the boardroom, but when they got to the execution part, it did not pan out, and the developers, the head honchos, the investors were probably like, yeah, we're no longer wanting to do this, just scrap it. So the 75% of mediocre game, we don't know what will be the truth. There's going to be sour grapes on both sides. But it would have been interesting to see what a Battlefront 3, I think it at least deserved to see the light of day, in my opinion. I wonder if we'll ever get to see it. Like it's almost like Valve at this point. They don't believe in threes, at least with Battlefront, because there was only 2, and then it panned off, and then EA was only allowed to do 2, and then they're not allowed to do 1 again, or at least probably won't be allowed to touch it. But I do think we should see a Battlefront 3 at some point, or deserve one. I took the whole Battlefront community to get it done. It took the whole Battlefront community to get it done. No, I mean, yeah, it does take a village. I mean, stuff doesn't happen overnight. Like, that's where the people need to vote, speak up, vote with their wallet, and, put their money where their mouth is. You can't say you want change and then not do anything about it. Also, too many people getting in the way of creators and keeping them from making things the way they were meant to. Exactly. There was that whole stint. I remember when we first started the show up, one of the first things we talked about was Dying Light 2, and how the head honcho was keep getting in the way of the developers because he had like ADHD or whatever. He was like, oh, I saw this cool mechanic in this game that has nothing to do with ours, but I want to put it in our game. And I want this one too. I just piecemealing it together. And the developers are going like, how is this possible? Well, make it happen. I don't care. And luckily, Dying Light 2 wasn't a great game, but it was a solid game. It was a solid game. And it came out to respectability. So whatever, they worked it out. They didn't get in their own way. But CD Projekt Red's another one. Like, they just rushed Cyberpunk out. The investors were hounding them to, get it done, get it done, get it done. And they kept delaying it left and right. And then when it came out, it was borderline unplayable or just really ugly to look at, depending on what version of the consoles you had at that point in time. And it's getting to respectability now. But it was just a mess at launch. And, that's another, like Dan said, people get in the way of each other. And it's just like, That's what happens when you work with big AAA, third-party developers. Everyone tends to want that piece of the pie instead of focusing on what needs to happen to let, the game flourish and be natural. So, stay out of the way, guys. Like, don't be those jerks. Let things happen as everything is intended to, within reason. You know, at least in game development. Let developers make the games they want to instead of the games you want them to. So, I'm going to take this time to talk about how you can support us. Because again, guys, we hope that you're enjoying this show. Hit like, subscribe, share, all that kind of fun stuff, especially if you're enjoying this. And then go over to pay, another way you can support us is by going over to the Epic Store, using the creator code NerdCave at checkout. Even on free games, it helps us out. It may not give you a code, it doesn't give you a discount, but it throws us money our way. You can get Hogwarts Legacy, you can get those V-Bucks, and those awesome Sony games with our creator code, and you can be epic. Like, obviously, it's having bugs, but eventually Last of Us Part 1 on PC will be playable. So go check it out when it is playable. But little game called Star Wars Jedi Survivor is coming out to PC next week. A week from tomorrow. So, or a week from tonight if you're wanting to play at 11 p.m. Central Time. So yeah, go check that out. Go if you're buying it on the Epic Game Store, you know what to do. Put in that creator code NerdCave. So now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, the Sony Pony segment, as some may call it. We got some PlayStation news. So the big one this week is, and it's funny because Zach and I have been talking about this whole petty argument Sony has had about Microsoft wanting to buy Activision Blizzard, and the way that they're wanting to do this, like Jim Ryan all but admitting publicly that I don't care what kind of deal you have, I just don't want your acquisition to go through. And all the worries that they're going to have are going to come back and bite them in the butt. And this one is from the looks of this, it's starting to look like they're going to reap what they sow. A U.S. senator has called for Sony CEO to provide details on its PlayStation exclusivity deals. Kevin Kramer, a Republican senator based in North Dakota, has demanded that Sony share details on its third-party PlayStation exclusivity deals. Speaking in a letter addressed to Kenichiro Yoshida, Sony's chief executive officer, Kramer explains that he is writing, quote, to express concern about Sony's efforts to protect its gaming console business from competition. I am concerned Sony's dominance of that market and its efforts to perpetuate its current position imperils an important economic development opportunity for North Dakota. Given the growing significance of the gaming industry to North Dakota, I am troubled by reports Sony appears to leverage its to exclude the competition rather than enabling choice for players and developers. Increasingly, it appears Sony's dominance is attributable to exclusionary practices, including paying game publishers not to distribute their games on rival platforms. Excuse me, I cannot talk tonight, guys. Kramer requests that Yoshida supply copies of the following: all agreements that give Sony an exclusive right to distribute a third-party game, all agreements between Sony and third-party publishers that prevent them from releasing their games on other systems, all internal company documents describing the strategic rationale for Sony's decision to acquire Bungie, all correspondence with the U.S. government or regulatory agencies relating to video game competition. Now, I'm not saying he's not wrong for looking into this, but the whole thing of like defending, I know he's from North Dakota, or the representative of North Dakota, but the whole fact of like, oh, it could be detrimental to North Dakota, it's like, I don't know the gaming space in that state. I'm not going to pretend to know that I do, so I can't speak on if it's going to be detrimental or if it's just going to be neutral or it's not going to factor in at all. But that seems kind of far-fetched to me. He's just using something as a crux to want to, push this through. But the bigger picture here is this is the comeuppance that Sony is going to receive because they have spent so much time and effort into trying to stop Microsoft's acquisition that they're now going to poke the bear and be like, all right, guys, now whether Microsoft went to this guy, heard his rumblings about, oh, what this could do in our state or whatever, and they said, yeah, go, and they kind of lit the fire. It's like, go do this real quick. Start a fire under this real quick. Get them distracted to keep the heat off us or whatever, or get them to leave us alone. Do something. Um, I do think that this was warrant for concern. It's not like Sony's been the bully in this whole thing, so now they're trying to punch back. And I don't know. Obviously, do I think this is going to have any long-term ramifications? Probably not. Will stuff get, brought up and questioned? Probably. Will anything come of it or like be taken seriously? Probably not. But this is they're going to be like, all right, you question how we do this acquisition for Activision Blizzard, and you question how we're going to do this going forward, and what this is going to mean for your state of gaming and the gaming industry as a whole. What are you doing? All those third party deals that you do, how is it affecting our side of our side of the pool? What are you doing? Are you hurting us just as much as you're claiming we're going to hurt you? This is the can of worms or Pandora's box that Sony has risked opening or has opened, and now is they're facing the consequences. And they have no one to blame but themselves for this if anything does come up that would hamper their business or force them to change how they do their strategy going forward. I gotta go pre-order. Was it pre-order? Oh, it's Fallen or Survivor. I got you. But yeah, this is it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out going forward, because will this open a can of worms for other people to question some other things? Like, it's interesting now. I know Bungie was the latest big acquisition, because it was was it after the Bethesda one that they bought Bungie, or was it right before they bought Activision Blizzard? That Sony bought Bungie. I forget, but it was around one of the other Microsoft acquisitions that they bought this. So obviously Sony has bought other studios since then, but they're on the smaller scale, and they're more of support studios or port studios or whatnot. But this has been the last big acquisition, so it's interesting why they bring that up as a specific requirement. But again, Sony brought this on themselves, so I can't wait. I don't want to say I can't wait, but it'll be interesting to see what comes of this, if anything comes of this. It might just be this article comes out, they do their investigation, it gets, they don't find anything, close the case on it, and move on to the next big thing. But now the ball's in Sony's court. What are they going to do? How are they going to respond? Are they actually going to back down and leave Microsoft alone after this, if anything comes of it? So guys, that's the only big article for this week. That it was a slow PlayStation news week. Not a lot happening, but we got some PlayStation quickies to put a bow on this segment here. First up, we got the PlayStation Stars program, where we got those collectible, digital collectible cards that you can buy if you're a PlayStation fan. And now they finally have a Shuhei Yoshida digital collectible on the PlayStation Stars program. I know Zach will probably be tempted to go check that out just to get that card, or find out how to get that card, because it is full of grace. Just like Chick-fil-A, it is full of grace. It is Shuhei needs to come back. Those were simpler times, and those were better times for PlayStation when Shuhei was at the helm. Following that, PS5 sales in the US are tracking ahead of PS4 on a, quote, time-aligned basis. Media Molecule co-founder Mark Healy announces his departure after 17 years with the studio. Final Fantasy XVI State of Play dives more into combat, the world map, while showcasing some epic-looking gameplay. Death Stranding 2 Director's Cut PC update adds DualSense Edge support. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 motion capture work appears to have been completed. Release date anytime now. Just go ahead and give it to me. And finally, The Last of Us HBO's Craig Mazin plans to do more seasons beyond season 2. So there was a state of play. There was a 25-minute for Final Fantasy. I watched it. Pretty interesting, but obviously we're not going to dive deep into it, because I don't think our community is huge into the Final Fantasy franchise. I know Zach and I I'm looking forward to it. Zach, I know it's kind of on his radar for things that, he's interested in, but I don't know if he'll be crazy about it. Plus, it'll also depend on what else is out around that time and what we're doing, that kind of thing. So, what was it? Oh, and the Media Molecule head departing. I'm not sure he was asked to leave. But I do think with how Dreams went, and we talked last week, we talked about how it's ending support later this year, and will slowly go out, the way of the just fade off into the sunset. I'm sure that had a lot to do with his decision to leave, because he's just like, I've done all I can here. My last creative decision didn't go over well. I think we need to put in some new blood here to, help, with the health of the studio and the future of the studio, to bring it back to prominence. I've done all I can here, type of deal. So I think while the Dreams wasn't the final decision, I think it helped have him make this decision to step down or leave the studio. So before we get into the quick hits, we just want to throw out, it's sponsored by our wonderful patrons. If you want to become part of the ship, part of the exclusive crew, you can go over to patreon.com/nerdcave. Go subscribe, throw some money at us. Dollars will make us holler. Zach will do a belly dance, if we hit some of our goals later in the year. More on that later. Did I just throw that up, make that on the fly? You bet I did. And now, Zach, the ball's in your court. You will not escape this, sir. Lost video for a second there. Am I back? Let me know, because I didn't know that. So I just want to make sure I'm good before I continue here. But yeah, so yes, you're back. Okay, thanks, Dan. But yeah, so go over there if you want us to talk all things anime. Go over there, get some people. Go over there, throw some money at us, get some more subscribers, and if we hit our goal, we'll do an anime show. Do we have other things down the pipeline? Yes, but I'm not going to make them here because I don't know if Zach has ironed out all the rest of the details. But we do know we want an anime show, and that's the next thing in the pipeline. So you guys can make it happen. Just go share this with some people. Tell them about where to go to make us holler. If you want that anime show. So anyway, the Patreon quick hits goes as follows. Amnesia the Bunker has been delayed until May 23rd. Hidetaka Miyazaki has been named one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people of 2023. Excuse me. Company of Heroes 3 Console Edition will be launching on May 30th. Hangar 13 job listings hint at Mafia 4 multiplayer and stealth elements. Super Mario Bros. Ground theme becomes first video game song added to the National Recording Registry. Remedy updates its logo for the first time in over 20 years. Tears of the Kingdom seemingly includes Breath of the Wild's biggest side quest. Don't know if that's a good or bad thing. The guys who played Breath of the Wild sound off. Are you looking forward to this, or is this going to be something you skip because it was way too long in Breath of the Wild? Hogwarts Legacy sales at launch were 256% higher than Warner Brothers' internal estimates. Xbox cluttered home dashboard is getting changes following complaints. Mortal Kombat 11 reportedly pulled in over $500 million in profit. A Doctor Who event is reportedly on its way to Fortnite. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions brings fan-favorite Wizarding World sport to PC and consoles. Mortal Kombat 2 movie set to film in Australia in June. Knuckles Paramount Plus TV series is now in production, and Jeff Fowler is set to direct the pilot episode. Diablo 4 has gone gold. Capcom accidentally removes ray tracing from Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake on PC. Monster Hunter Now is the next game from Pokemon Go dev Niantic. The Callisto Protocol update adds dismemberment mode and skippable cutscenes. Disney Speedstorm is adding Steamboat Willie Mickey this summer. Sega is reportedly close to acquiring Angry Birds dev Rovio for $1 billion with a B dollars. That's a lot of money for a studio that has seemed to be, at least on my radar, irrelevant for a while. It seems like Angry Birds came out, they did some games for console, and then they just kind of disappeared, never to be heard from again. Former Halo creative director Joseph Staten has now joined Netflix Games. Microsoft is experimenting with Windows handheld mode for Steam Deck. Blizzard is making a ton of changes to Diablo 4 based on player feedback. Dying Light 3 has not been announced, but Techland is asking what players want to see from a potential protagonist. Oxenfree 2 launches on July 12th. Alan Wake 2 will be a, quote, true next-gen showcase. Playdate hits its sales target twice over in its first year. And lastly, we have some new new Nintendo Switch Online Sega Genesis titles. We finally get more added to that library. You get Flicky, Pulseman, Kid Chameleon, and Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition. A lot of good things. A lot of, again, slower news week this week, but what do you expect from a midweek and a mid April? We're not a lot of others happening, but 500 million. Now, granted, you could attribute that to the longevity. It did have a longer tail than other Mortal Kombats, but still, 500 million in profit. That's a lot of money. That's halfway toward that billion that Sega's reportedly going to spend on Rovio. So that's a lot. That's a lot. That's no one. It was one of those things like GTA. They saw they were making money hand over fist still, and they're like, "Why rush Mortal Kombat 12? We can just keep that gravy train rolling until we need to." And now, of course, this year we're getting Mortal Kombat 12. So yeah, that's probably why they were able to stave off its release for so long. About time we got some Quidditch. Yeah, I'm interested to see what the gameplay style will be. And if it'll come out this year, because it'd be interesting. Now, it would make sense off the heels of how successful Hogwarts Legacy has been, to the timing of this, and be like, all right, we didn't give you Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy, but we'll give you a game about Quidditch if you want to. But that's assuming it didn't give a timetable to see if it was even going to be this year that the game launched, but we'll see. It would be nice to have a fall, Harry Potter game, toward the end of the year, as we started off the year with a Harry Potter game. I'm gonna say, I could still hear you when you disappeared, though, so you should be good. Okay, good. Glad we got all that situated from earlier. Okay. So, I'm trying to make this a consistent segment, with the videos and whatnot. That's your cue, Murdoch. That, I've been slacking off here the last couple weeks. But now I'm trying to make a more consistent effort and make sure we see, some cool stuff. Started with the segment this year, the coolest thing I saw this week, where I go through, and I was still feeling it out. I was trying to gauge it, trying to, do some smaller stuff, do some bigger stuff, and the smaller stuff wasn't hitting. So I'm just like, all right, let me make sure I pick some stuff that it will actually like pop more than worry about if it's, an indie darling or if a big AAA budget game. So this week, and I forgot, I didn't even know this was a thing. They made it, I was listening to like Kinda Funny, and they're like, oh yeah, this was announced like a while back. And I'm like, I could have just not remembered it, because stuff comes and goes so much, and so many games don't even see the light of day or get changed or renamed or what have you. So this could have been a different thing. But EA is putting another thing under their originals banner. And the game looks cool. Like, if you wanted like sorcerer combat, this looks like a better version of what Forspoken could have been. Like Forspoken combat looked really good. I still need to get a chance to play that game, but I called it. Forspoken's problem would be the dialogue and the story, and that's for sure. When the reviews came out, they hit it for the for the dialogue options, for the story, that kind of thing. But they all said the gameplay was good. But this looks like it'll be more of a complete Forspoken. So let's take a look at the trailer for Immortals of Avium, a reveal trailer. Ascendant.
This is Avium.
And we got the red, green, and blue. It's all connected. The ley lines.
Since we first learned to use
Boom!
magic, we've waged war over who would control it. Now, only Lucium remains to resist the tyrant of Rasharn. Sandrak will eventually be able to block our access to magic.
Looks like a Sauron servant.
Is over.
Over? As in he takes over Lucium?
As in he takes over everything.
Got eaten by a dragon.
There's a name for what
It does,
want.
though.
Magnus, I want to be an immortal.
It does look
I
like
wanna
Lord of the
fight this
Rings.
war as one of you, one of the elite.
I believe in you. She definitely thinks you're going to die. That's why her face looks like that.
Now we finally get some gameplay here.
You walk towards your doom.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a first-person Forspoken. So, but like I said, I feel like this is going to be better Forspoken. Dragon just wanted to snack.
Your
You're right,
sigil
Dan.
will help you focus your magic. Prevent it from killing you.
Summon your
I
power.
found a child whose new powers could make them a threat to the kingdom I protect. The choice was to either kill you
Let me hit you with that Lemurian.
or turn you into a weapon against Rasharn.
Back up. Option A was to kill me?
Right, that's the important part. So, got you. Thank you. So yeah, what'd you think, guys? I do agree with Murdoch was saying. He whispered in my ear, "Sweet nothings," about looks like Lord of the Rings very much. And I agree. Does have that old school medieval, fantasy medieval epic, aesthetic to it. But like I said, with the gameplay, you definitely showed more magic. I want to see more range of the powers. We got a good focus on it, but I want to see how deep the magic combat system goes, how deep the customization can go, that type of thing. With the we've seen with the EA originals, they've been more hits than misses. So, and they've almost been better than EA games internally have been. So it looks really good. I think it launches in July, but I'm definitely looking forward to this. This is definitely on my radar. Is that Zuko's voice actor? I am not 100% sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, but I am not 100% sure on that. I don't know when they'll start releasing voice cast for a game like this, or since it just got a reveal and a release date. I'm not sure how soon they'll announce the voice cast. But I'll keep you posted, because I was gonna Google it, but I'm not even sure if they've announced that yet. I'm not even sure what the character is gonna be called, so I'm just Immortals of Avium voice cast, But would not be surprised at all. So yeah, tell me what you think of the game. Is it interesting? Do you need to see more from it? Is it on your radar? That kind of thing. Do you think it'll be better than Forspoken? Let me know, guys. Let me know. But yeah, that is the show, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you had some fun tonight. It's a little bit more tightly compacted show, just because your boy is doing it solo tonight. Your king of the nerds is doing it solo. So I could only talk for so much. Well, I'm taking a sip from my Stein, my God of War Stein that Zach got me. I'm throwing you love after I throwed you some shade. I could do both, Zach. Don't come for me. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the show. Again, if you like this, go ahead and hit like, share it with somebody that you love, and then go over to Patreon. Subscribe there. Throw us some money. Or just, if you can't, subscribe here to YouTube. And then, like I said, share it with somebody that you love. All right, guys. No one to distract you. You are so right, Dan. No one to distract me. No one to get me off course. I'm always the one that has to right this ship, guys. It's a hard but thankless job. The lady doing voiceover is a main Destiny Guardian. Oh, interesting. Okay, but that tracks also. That tracks. Now that I think about it, going back and hearing her voice, that does track. So that's good to know. But yeah, I always have to right the ship, guys. It's hard. It's it ain't. It's hard work, but it's honest work. So, but anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna wrap it up here. We thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for indulging in my craziness. Thank you for indulging in the abrupt interruption by Zach, who's supposed to be having fun and getting his hair cut But, you know, Derek is the one that distracts me. Sure. We'll go with that. Sure. Whatever helps you sleep tonight on your plane ride, sir. But anyway, guys, have a good night. You know, hug your loved ones. Eat some dinner. Play video games. Watch anime. In whatever order you choose. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Live your life, but also do those things. And also go subscribe to Patreon. Thank you, guys. This has been Derek with the Nerd Cave. Have a good night.